All right, folks. Well, let's get started. And like I said, we're wanting to cover as much ground as we can, but not at the expense of teaching. So what my session is going to focus on is how to hear melodies, because everybody likes licks, but at the end of the day, it's melody that's most important. If we're going to kick off a song, if we're going to play any solo to a song, but especially at kickoff, we want to present a melody that people can recognize. Now, the other teachers are going to push into the other parts of the song to make you a complete banjo player, but I want to talk about actually hearing the melody. And whenever I talk about this with students, there seems to be often a kind of a glazed look that comes over them because they lack confidence in their ears. And if you've never actually picked out a melody on the banjo by ears, it does seem like an impossible task. So what I want to spend the first part of my hour doing is just pulling back the curtain on that a little bit, trying to simplify the process that we're going after, and to hopefully help you understand that you don't have to have a professional level ear to be able to accurately find melodies on your banjo, even in real time. And the way that we do that is actually not add to your knowledge of the banjo neck, but rather take away some of the unknown. I've found that to be the easiest thing to do. So let's spend a few minutes just talking about, in the key of G, which is what we're most often in with G tuning, let's talk about what most often happens in bluegrass melody songs. Now, of course, you know that a banjo in G tuning is tuned to a G major chord, so it would stand to reason that songs that are in G major are going to be using these open notes in their melody quite often, right? So already, right off the bat, we know that a lot of our melody notes are going to be found on the open strings that we play. And that's why whenever you're just rolling through on the banjo and throwing a lick in here or there, it sounds pretty good, but there's more to it than that, right? And so I'm going to pull up my iPad here before we actually get playing, just walk you through something that I love to explain to folks. All we're going to concentrate on right now is the first 5 frets. So here we have, of course, the 4 strings. The numbers above the strings are the frets that they're pertaining to. And where you see the round red circles, even the ones here over the nut of the banjo, are notes that in G major are known as the pentatonic scale. Now, what's the pentatonic scale? Well, the pentatonic scale are 5 notes of a 7-note major scale that get used really, really often. In fact, if you think about that Lester flat G run lick that you hear on the guitar, dum ba da ba da bum bum, that I'm always playing, that's actually just playing through the pentatonic scale. And the reason why I bring that up first is that I don't know the actual statistics, but I would say half or so of the common songs that we play are drawing their melody notes from pentatonic notes alone, or at least for the vast majority of those melody notes. This is good news for us, because normally whenever we look at a banjo neck, we might see 4 strings times 5 frets. We do some simple math plus the open strings, right? So really 5 options per string. And we think, oh my goodness, there's 20, 25 different options of where I can actually find the melody. No, it's simpler than that. What I have singled out here is where most of our melody notes are going to happen. Now, I've already pointed out that our notes that are open strings are going to be melody notes, but let's look at some of the others. Check it out. Nothing on the first fret. For most of our songs, our melody notes aren't going to fall on the first fret, at least not most of the melody notes. Look at the second fret. We've got our second fret on the low D string, the G string, and the high D string, okay? And then we've got this note right up here. What is that? That's a G note. It's the same thing as that open G string up there. I just included it. And then the square. Why do I have the square? Well, the square, that's also part of the pentatonic scale, but it's a duplicate note. What I mean by that is whenever you play the 3rd fret on the B string, you're actually playing the same note as the open first string, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 7 notes in the pentatonic scale, open position in G, that are going to provide the melody for a vast number of songs that we're going to try to play. So if you don't mind, if you got your banjo in hand, which I hope that you do, You can pick up your banjo and just work your way figuring through these scales. Here, I'll do it with you. I'm gonna do it without my picks on just because I'm trying to draw. It's hard to have the picks on. You think you can remember what those look like? Well, okay, I'll help you cheat. Here we go. Our open D string, our second fret, open G, second fret, open B, open D, second fret. And then I mentioned, of course, that our third fret on the B string is the same note as our open first string. Oh, they tell me of a home far beyond the sky. Oh, they tell me of a home far away. You get it? Or many, many other songs. I Saw the Light. I could just keep going over and over. We've got our melody notes that are found in this pentatonic scale. So let that give you some confidence. Let that kind of calm your nerves a little bit, that whenever we're going to try to find our melody notes on the banjo to a song, even that we've never heard before, we can guess the right note pretty easily by just playing open strings in these second frets. That's pretty cool, huh? There's really only 3 frets that you need to remember for now to get most of our melody notes. Now, are there other notes that are going to often be used as melody notes? You bet, because there's 2 other notes in the major scale. Let's take a look at those. One of them's really easy to remember. It's the 4th fret down here. And guess what? Because this first string and 4th string are the same string, those notes repeat. That's an F sharp. And then we've got this one other note, the 1st fret of the B string, which is a C note, and that's going to be used fairly often in our melody notes. Okay, well, even now, it's not overwhelming, right? We've got our open strings. We can kind of forget about those because they're already there. We've got our second frets. We can memorize that. And then we've got these just few other frets hanging out. And that's it. Now, are there songs that use melody notes that are beyond what I've showed you here? Absolutely. There are, but they're in the vast minority. And whenever those melody notes do happen, they're usually on just a couple of different blues notes. What are blues notes? Well, blues notes are notes that fall in between these major scale notes. And there's a couple of them that are very, very common, and I want to show those to you. You see them here. What do you notice about them? They're all on what fret? They're all on the 3rd fret. Pretty easy to remember, right? Again, we talked about how the 1st and 4th strings are the same string. So it stands to reason that those would match. They're just 1 octave apart. And then you've got the 3rd fret on the G string. Now these actual notes, this is an F note, that's a dominant 7th. And then you've got a B flat note right there. That's a flat 3rd. That's the note that makes it a minor chord that turns G major to G minor. Now this kind of looks like hen scratch here if you were to just look at it. And a lot of times I'll look at these fretboard diagrams and I think, oh goodness, how can I learn all that? But I want you just to remember in stages. We easily remembered our pentatonic scale, just second frets. Oh, let's throw in 2 major scale notes beyond. That's not hard. And now we've got our blues notes that are hanging all on the 3rd fret. That's pretty simple. So with that knowledge, you can now, by ear, find the melody notes to like 99%. I'm willing to say 99% of the popular bluegrass and country songs out there. That's pretty encouraging. Does that mean that we don't ever play any of the other frets that we didn't talk about? No, we're going to get into chromatic and melodic and other bluesy type licks that would use some of those other frets. But for melody notes, which is what we're most concerned with now because we're going to build a kickoff, these are the notes that we're concerned with. Don't worry about memorizing them right now, but if I did my job, you could pretty much repeat back to me what we've learned so far. Now, let's take Little Cabin Home on the Hill, because that's the song that we're going to use as the theme song for tonight. And I'm going to work with you, right? I'm going to work with you tonight to learn how to hear this melody, and then we're going to build a break starting with that basic melody. Now, let me go back to my diagram because I'm going to show you something that should also